Today we are gonna go through my trades from July 13th to July 17th. Let's get into it. Before I even placed a trade on Sunday, I had set up rules for myself to follow and a structure of what was my expected outcome and my worst scenarios, and we'll go through that so that we can see where I landed at the end of the week. My 3 rules were: you cannot take more than 2 trades per day, you cannot risk more than 150 per trade, and only trade the 15-minute breakout. I had been hopping strategies here and there, and I felt like that was hurting me more than it was helping me. So let's see how I did. I risked $150 per trade and make $350. So 7 times 350, which would be $2,450. Then we factor in 3 losses, 450, and when we take that out, we would get left with $2,000 for the week. The expected case was 5 wins and 5 losses, which would have gotten us to $1,000 for the week. And then the worst case scenario was 3 wins for the week and 7 losses for the week, which would have gotten us to break even, so $0. In the back of my mind when I was trading, I knew that the worst case scenario was I would get to break even, so it didn't make sense for me to overtrade because I knew what was gonna happen. I made sure to journal every day, so I have all the notes here. Let's get into them. Monday was not a clean entry, I will say that. It broke out, and then I got too impatient to wait for it to retest. So I entered too early, and it got me out right when it was retesting. But I saw this, and I had the second trade. So I entered on the retest, and then I did not wait for it to get to the next pivot point. So I got out too early. So for the first trade, I took a 150 loss. And then for the second trade, I profited $25. The issue with this is I wasn't patient enough to wait for my trade to work out because I thought I would lose on it, but it actually ended up going in my favor. But I had already used my 2 trades for the day, so I couldn't trade any longer. July 15th. First trade. I took 2 trades on this day. It broke out, retested, and then did the same thing happen again? Allah. What did I say? July 15th, same thing happened. I entered a bit too early. It retested, and then it was on the pivot point. So I don't think entering on the pivot point is a good point unless I know the clear direction of where it's going to. So 5 minutes, enter, breakout, retest, goes back and takes me out at 150. And then I went back in again, and then it took me out again. And the total outcome of that day was negative $319.50. We are negative already on Monday and Tuesday, but we still have 3 more days to trade, so no worries. On July 16th, I entered again too early on the breakout. It took me out on the 15 on the retest to the pivot point, because all these trades I'm taking are on the pivot point. So it went back to the pivot point, took me out. I entered when it retested the breakout. And then on the second trade, I ended up on $477. So that was $327 for the day. On this trade, I could have also let it run and it went to my favor. So I just need to be more patient because I got out right before it hit the next pivot, which I should wait for it to do next time. On Friday, this day was testing me actually. 15-minute breakout. I put in my entry. It goes down. It retests. And then this smallest gap, it didn't fill me, and then it went all the way to the pivot point, which was my target. It filled me when it came back up around like 10 and retested the breakout again, and then I entered, but I wasn't patient enough, so I only got $127 for the week. Out of this whole week, the thing that I'm taking is I'm not patient enough to wait for the trades to run. I need to get into the mindset that I'm actually risking the 150 and start moving the stop loss, because that is making me too impatient. I need to sit on the trade and wait to see what happens. Because if I hadn't moved any of the stop losses before, they probably would have hit. Using those expected outcomes, best case scenario, worst case scenario, I would say that I didn't really have enough data because I kept changing the stop losses and take profits. So I feel like last week was a bit biased, is that the word? But anyway, we're gonna do it again next week, and this time I'm gonna add that I cannot move my stop loss. If it's going to take me out, let it take me out at 150, not break even or anything, so that we can actually see the statistics of how much this strategy is working. Let's do that and see how next week goes. Let's go.